There we go. We are recording.
Thank you for having me on, Devon. It's a pleasure to be on your show.
Hey, it's a pleasure for me too. I know like pretty much everybody who has an arm wrestling YouTube channel, and this is the first time that I actually get to meet you.
Thank you, man. It just happened suddenly. I never anticipated that I'm going to be on your show. It's everything happened so quickly.
Well, let me tell you, everybody who's watching right now, please, I've got Pradeep's links down below here. Get on over there and subscribe to his channel. It's totally awesome. Out of all the channels, I follow arm wrestling really closely, but I love Arm Wrestling Newz, man. It's so concise, the way you package it up. It makes me have to spend about a quarter of the time on Facebook or Instagram to get all the stories, man. You got it all and you get it quick. It's awesome.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. I know I have to provide some value. Otherwise, why would anyone listen to me? So that is why I cut any distant part. Like, for example, if I take approx 2 seconds between saying two things, I have to cut that 2 seconds part out, because I know nobody is going to stay on my channel if I don't provide them value. And it comes at a cost sometimes. Like I have to watch everything that is on YouTube at 2x speed. I cannot afford to watch on normal speed. And sometimes it costs you, like I cannot watch a movie anymore. When I converse with people, I feel like they're talking in slow motion. Do you know Greg Doucette?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
He also mentioned the same thing. Then I felt like I'm not alone. He also said that he watches everything on 2x speed. He cannot just talk to people anymore. He cannot watch movies. Everything comes at a cost, but I'm happy with it.
You know, it's funny you should say that. Now I am notoriously slow. I feel like my channel, you could probably have a 3x or 4x speed and it'd probably be just fine.
And Ryan SP.
Yeah. They should have a an option for YouTube where you can have 3x or 4x.
I do that sometimes. If someone has uploaded a 3 hours podcast, then what I'll do is I download that on my phone, and in my mobile phone player, MX player, basically, I speed it up to 250x, 2.5x speed. Then I watch it on that speed too. I have to do that sometimes. And I feel obliged to just click and watch every arm wrestling video that is being uploaded on internet. I just cannot skip it. Whether it has 5 views or 500,000 views, it doesn't matter to me. I feel like I have to watch everything. Even if I don't have the time, I'll just click on it, give a thumbs up, and leave it there just to support the creator. I feel like that's my job. I have to do that.
That's incredible. That's incredible. I've been following you for quite a while now, and I can tell that you are very thorough, because I feel like I myself am very thorough, but I know that you are more thorough than I am, because
I like to think, man.
Yeah, I get stuff from you before I get it anywhere else. So I think your channel is fantastic. But I'd like to know a little bit more about you. So you live in India?
Yeah, I live in India. I was born in Jhajjar, Haryana district. Then we moved to Uttar Pradesh district, and right now I'm in West Bengal.
West Bengal. Where is that? West Bengal.
It is on eastern part of India. Okay. The states that I mentioned, Haryana and Uttar Pradesh, they are northern part of India, and West Bengal is an eastern part of India.
Okay. So yeah. Are you yourself an arm wrestler?
I've tried.
Yeah.
I'll tell you how it started. So basically in school, like everyone started, I was the one who was beating everyone in my class, then in my college, then in my job. Then whenever I go to a gym, basically, if I see a buff dude, I would challenge him to arm wrestle, and I'll beat everyone. That is where every arm wrestler starts. But as soon as I entered a competition, then I get to know that there are levels to this thing. I went to my first competition in 2019. It was nationals, BCI nationals in India. And it was the first time that I saw an arm wrestling table. It was actually in a competition. I had never seen an arm wrestling table. I was arm wrestling for so many years, but it was the first time that I actually saw a table. So that was my first experience. I won 3 out of my 5 matches. I think I performed okay. I lost to Akash Kumar. I think you know him, Rich Hunter.
Yeah, he's great.
And one other guy. So basically, I am at that level where if you do not know arm wrestling, or if you're a beginner like me, I'll most certainly beat you. But if you are a pro, I have zero chances against you.
Right,
This is my
right.
level. And I think most of the people who are watching this show definitely do not know who I am. They may recognize my voice, but they do not know who I am. So
Yeah, well,
I've just turned 27, and I'm working, and I'm thinking about being a full-time YouTuber slash arm wrestling YouTuber, arm tuber, I would say it.
yeah. No, that's great. And you do provide quite a great service in this ever-growing sport. I love how concise you are.
I think, Devon, our sport is such a baby right now, in such a nascent stage, that there is a space for everyone. You do not get to complain in arm wrestling that I have a weaker wrist, I don't have the genetics, I don't have the musculature. There is a space for everyone. I, being a nobody, like Uncle John once said that I don't know if Pradeep has ever had a real match or not, but he is creating impact. So if I'm sitting here in India, haven't really competed anywhere, basically 2 tournaments, and I can create some impact, then nobody gets to complain about it. There is a space for everyone in arm wrestling. I thought about I cannot do training videos. You are providing training videos. Ryan Bowen is providing training videos. Why would anyone watch my videos? So I thought, what is it that nobody is doing right now? And it was news. Every sports has their news channels. People are doing WWE news, athletics news, everything. Nobody was doing, I think still nobody is doing arm wrestling news even till date. There are reviews and things going on, but there is no separate channel for arm wrestling news. And when you create something that nobody has created before, it becomes an instant success, because you can smell the need of it. Everyone needs news. That is how I got started.
100%. Hey, great choice. So what about, I was thinking when I was watching your channel, and I don't know the answer to this, is your channel available across other languages?
No, I was thinking about it. Maybe I can get somehow translated my news into Russian language. That was my first choice, to be able to
Yeah,
extend
but
to
I mean,
that part of the world.
I mean, India is a massive country. It's huge.
Big.
Yeah.
But arm wrestling, I would say, is still small in India.
Yeah.
Not
it's
where I
not
would like
right
it to
now.
be.
It could be bigger. It could be a
It
lot
could be
bigger.
bigger. But
Yeah.
I don't get to complain about it because I haven't done anything for the Indian arm wrestling yet. People always ask me, some people even complain, why are you only showing Western part of the world as far as arm wrestling goes? But my question is, there is nobody watching that in India. I tried uploading a few videos in Hindi. They got like 100, 120 views. And when I upload videos in English, they get 10 times more views than that.
Mm.
That is why I'm more focused. Plus, YouTube, you know, the CPM, the RPM. In India, if somebody is watching your videos in India, sitting in India, and somebody compared to that watching in US, you basically get paid 7 times more for one view.
Right.
You do not get paid anything if your views come from India.
Interesting. But I'd say that there are more than 7 times more of the population in India. So the potential is there.
Yes. Every sport that is big in India, every country is coming to India for that. Like cricket, you may know about it. Every country, when Australians, the player from West Indies, England, every player is ready to leave their national team to play in India's Indian Premier League. That is a league of cricket. That is how big cricket is in India. Every sport that is big in India, like everyone wants to come here. But currently, that is not the case with arm wrestling. If it is 10, 15, 20 years from now, that would be the scene, just because of the sheer population. We love sports here, but arm wrestling is currently, unfortunately, not one of them right now.
I think it'll get there. So Pradeep, what is your full-time job at the moment when you're listening to all this arm wrestling stuff?
My full-time job, like my job doesn't want me to disclose what I'm doing, but basically I would say that I'm working at a similar place that your job was. Kind of similar, not exactly the same, but very similar. That's my job. That is why I'm not allowed to speak about that.
Great.
I want to leave it. I don't want to be kicked out of my job. That's the problem.
Yeah. That's fine. That's fine.
There is one more thing common between us. Like I heard your story on the OK podcast with Juji and Tom. You and Jody were there. So basically, I've got a similar story. There was a girl that I liked. Then I went to the job. Then I came back after a few years. Then we got married. I've got kind of a similar story in that manner.
Oh, wow, there you go.
Well, that's lovely.
Hi, Jody. How are you?
Pradeep, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good, thank you.
I knew there was a reason. I knew there was a reason why I liked you, Pradeep. Yeah.
I showed that video to my wife. Basically, I told her that we've got a similar story. I liked you when I was in school. Basically, my story started real back, like when I was 6, 7 years old. But I did not have the courage to speak till like I was having a job in the military. I think I can say that right now. Then I got back. Then we got married. That's how it worked out.
Oh wow!
Nice.
Oh wow! That's amazing. Oh,
Yeah.
well, congratulations and good for you. I hope everything works out really well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Man.
So do you have a club that you train with? Is there anything yet?
The place where I'm currently living, as soon as you announced ArmBet, I downloaded it and I was hoping I get somebody, but till date, that gives you an option to get the radius up to 200 kilometers here. I don't know what is that in miles, maybe 130 miles or something like that.
Right.
There was not a single arm wrestler within 200 kilometers of me.
Oh no, that's terrible.
In West Bengal. But when I go on leave in my hometown, there you can see like 30 arm wrestlers within 20-30 kilometers. That is really exciting. Then I joined a club. I went to practice for a couple of times, but it didn't work out because I go to home like in 3-4 months for just 2-3 weeks. How much practice can you get? And when you're a beginner, you practice hard once, you're screwed for next 2-3 weeks. You cannot do anything. So
Yeah.
it didn't quite work out. I'm searching. Today, I thought I would talk about it to you. I searched it today and now I have one member on ArmBet near me,
Oh, that's
about
great.
20-30 kilometers away from me. I've messaged him. And what is up with people who don't respond on ArmBet? They are on ArmBet. They have a good display, 2, 3, 4 years of experience, has a table, right, left hand, but they never reply.
You know, I'll tell you, we have some bugs in ArmBet that we need to fix. We are working every single day to make ArmBet better, but the messaging and the notifications is a huge issue for us. We need to make it better. We need to have it so that if someone doesn't receive a notification, they'll get an email or a text or something to prompt them to be able to reply. We need to be able to show when the last time someone was active, whether they've seen your, like, because if you go on and you have people and you see that, oh, this person is only active once every 2 weeks, and then this person's active every day, that, you know, you can kind of choose your communicate. But there's lots of stuff we're doing. We're going to get that bubble way bigger. We're going to make it so that you can basically search all around the world, one step at a time,
My first practice, and actually all of my practices have been through ArmBet. If it weren't for you, I may not have had any practice. I wanted to ask you one question about ArmBet. Do you want it to be a one-time deal, like come on our app, get benefited from it? Or do you want people to come back to your app? Because right now there is nothing for which I need to come back to the app. I just contact someone, get their WhatsApp number, and I forget about the app. So do you want people to come back to your app?
Absolutely. And we have a plan that we're going to try and make ArmBet a much more valuable tool to the arm wrestling community. There's going to be a lot of things that we start to spin in there, but absolutely right now, the first thing it was kind of a beacon for people to be able to find each other, but it's going to be much more than that. It's going to be much more. We're going to have events. We're going to be able to highlight the matches, the whole way that the staking right now is working. Eventually, it will all happen through the app. It'll be all visible on the app. You'll be able to see the matches that are close to you, up next, the big matches. But a big part of it will be the events and clubs and tables, and there's going to be a lot on there. It's just a bit of a process.
And one more question, if you are allowed to speak on that, the stakings part, are you I know you mentioned something that you need to have a costly license for that. Are you planning to have something like stakings of your own, or are you going to work with them?
So far the partnership has been really, really good. I believe I think that we will work with them so long as the partnership is good, and it shows all indications that that it's mutually beneficial at this time. If we grow to a point where it's the next logical step, then perhaps. But right now, they've been extremely helpful for us. They've been doing something that would take us so much longer to be able to achieve by ourselves. So right now, the partnership is good.
You actually asked me what is my work. My work is basically right now only receiving phones and making phone calls. As simple as it gets.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Very simple. And it is actually my second time I'm live. I'm talking with anyone on the internet. It is the second time. First time was on ARM TV when Gary was doing this long show to send direct to Dubai. So I was actually working at that time. I thought I should go and join live. I joined and I was not speaking anything because I was also working. And then Gary started crying and all of that. I was like silent. Neil Pickup noticed that, and suddenly Ryan Bowen jumped in. Ryan started asking me, what problem do you have with me, Pradeep? Why are you making these videos against me? So, and I did not have any setup. I was trying to hold my phone. So basically it did not work very well. So this time I thought I need to be prepared. I've got my ring lights on and everything. Basically, I'm prepared for that this time.
Oh, hold on. What happened with ARM TV? He was crying about what?
About people telling him but that he shouldn't make money from this. He's back in there for money. It was a long live stream. If you noticed, he did 3 8-hour live streams.
Yeah,
so I don't know
no,
where it was.
I remember.
So it was.
Oh, okay. So he was just breaking down. Oh, okay. Okay. I didn't watch the whole thing. I tuned in here and there for that 24-hour live stream that he did. That's a legendary thing that he did. That was pretty crazy.
But I haven't seen a 24 hours live stream where people are continuously sitting and talking there.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. You know, there are a lot of great people in India pushing the sport forward. Yeah, do you know the team from Lions Empire?
Yeah. You had an interview there. What is his name? Gurvinder?
Arvinder.
Arvind. Okay. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I just saw that interview today.
Yeah. Yeah.
People are trying to push it there. The Pro Panja League guys, maybe you know them, Praveen Dabas and Preeti Jangiani. They're Bollywood actors, but they're not being able to put it out. It is not getting the success that it should get when Bollywood actors are promoting the sport. I don't know why, but it is not clicking here in India.
Well, like you say, everything has to make sense. It has to appeal to the right group of people. You have to be able to touch people in a way that they're going to be receptive. I don't know that a lot of Bollywood kind of people are going to be into arm wrestling, but there will be a lot of people in India who will want to arm wrestle. I'll tell you that in my opinion, so I have a lot of ideas about growing arm wrestling globally, and I do believe that Freedom Arm Wrestling has a great place for growing the sport. And I think that can be a way to help grow the sport in India. But anyways, who knows? But what I do know is that there are two of my favorite people in India, Arvinder and Kritan Dadaki. Do you know him?
Yeah, I know him.
Okay, great. Well, so long as you know those people, you know, I think that you guys can make amazing stuff happen in India.
Kritan has worked for you as well a little bit, I guess.
Oh, Kritan is one of my favorite people in the world. What a smart and talented young man. I think I met Kritan when he was very young, and he used to like post artwork about arm wrestling, and it was just so good. I thought it was so funny, and he was doing it all on his phone. And yeah, now we're able to do things a little bit closer, but yeah, there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of people who love arm wrestling in India.
Yes, you could get real viral here.
Yeah, well, I plan on coming back. I'll be back.
What happened to that trip? COVID canceled it? The one video where you were showing the Bulldog t-shirt, you said you're coming soon in India.
Oh, I don't remember the details on that specifically, but I don't remember exactly. I have a lot of things going on. I don't remember if there was a specific event I was going to, or I was just showing support. But I certainly do plan on coming back to India and doing more of an extended stay. I think that I'm going to do things a little bit differently. At least I hope to do things differently from this kind of point forward. In the past, I've done a lot of very short trips. I go somewhere for a week, a weekend, 5 days. I would like, and I hope that I'll be in a place in my life where I will be able to go for like a month and a half or a month and just really, really work a region and then come home. Bring some of my family with me and really dissect an area. And my YouTube and other things are big enough now, through ArmBet, that I will be able to probably achieve that kind of thing. And just, yeah, so India is definitely on the list. Yeah.
I was just about to say that you could come with your family. It is cheap here. Living here would be cheap for you guys because of the currency difference.
Yeah.
Hotels, if you stay in a hotel plus food would cost you around $25 a day. And what's the cost over there?
I can't eat a meal for $25.
That's the cost here.
Yeah.
Hotel plus food. And if you're going real good luxurious thing, you can easily get in $50 a real good hotel and food for 1 day.
It's gonna be party time in India coming up. I can't wait. It's I'm excited. It's stuff I'm really looking forward to doing. But yeah, I think that a lot of countries like India, Africa, not really as full of arm wrestlers as we need them to be, to make arm wrestling as globally incredible as we know it can be. And I think you're going to be a big part of that, Pradeep. I think you are. Yeah.
I was so desperate to meet you when you came here in India in 2018, December, but I just had a shoulder surgery a week before that. So I could not come there. I thought there is no point going to an arm wrestling tournament with like my hands like this. That is why I couldn't come to meet you.
Well,
but what would be your advice, Devon, for beginners like us who are not really competing or who don't want to be at world levels, but who just love arm wrestling? What can we do to promote our sport, to grow our sport? So basic things that come to my mind are maybe starting a YouTube channel, trying to place a arm wrestling table in a gym, trying to arm wrestle people on the streets. These are the three things that come to my mind, what I can do to promote the sport, to grow the sport. What would your advice to be for a beginner?
Well, I would say that what I would tell you to do is make sure you're always having fun, right?
Okay.
So whenever you start to think about what you can do, like make sure it's something that is going to really make you happy. And I think that the base of that is probably going to be participation. Find a way to participate in it. So oftentimes you don't know anybody really who's doing it. So just tell people about it, tell people tell people you work with, ask them if they want to train with you, explain the situation, say, hey, there's this sport of arm wrestling. It's crazy. Here, check this out. Do you want to help me? Do you want to be a partner with me? And we can train somewhere, fine. And I don't know that you even, and that's why I talk about freedom arm wrestling, is I don't know that you even really need a table. Find a place in the park, find a place in a restaurant that meets kind of similar dimensions of an arm wrestling table. Protect your elbows, be good to each other, and just practice the sport with each other. And I think that the main way is just to get together with people and start to practice and do it in visible places. I think that a great place to do it is in schools. I think if you can go to high schools, teach kids about it, this is going to help a lot. Obviously YouTube, but anything can help, but really just have fun with it and stay safe, right? Stay safe. Yeah.
I've heard you at least 5 times saying that freedom arm wrestling can be the thing in the future. What do you mean by that? Freedom arm wrestling, just like arm wrestling anywhere, or the freedom rules where you can just drag your elbow anywhere and you have to basically pin your opponent like they do in wrestling? What do you mean by that? Because if you're moving your elbows like that, I don't think we are right now in a time where it is going to work. Because right now the non-arm wrestlers complain about slightest of things, moving your body, curling your wrist, top rolling someone. Everyone is like, if you top roll them, they complain about it. If you put them on a hook, they complain about it, that bending your wrist should not be allowed. So how is that going to work when you're basically moving your elbows everywhere?
Yeah. So at the base, when I say freedom arm wrestling, I mean arm wrestling without an arm wrestling table. So like I've got my table right here. It's a freedom arm wrestling table. You know, I've got, you know, you pick a surface and you look at it and you can be like, okay, how good is that table for an arm wrestling table? And that's what my eyes are always doing. Every time I walk around a city, every time I go into a restaurant, I look at all the structures and I say, that is a great arm wrestling table. That's a great arm wrestling table. And I've got my favorite arm wrestling tables all over the world that I've seen. My very favorite one is in Toronto. I post videos of it normally when I go to Toronto. It's there's a marble slate. Now, the only thing is you need to have protection when you do freedom arm wrestling. But the thing is, it's way easier. One of the reasons I love the sport of arm wrestling is its accessibility. Anybody can really do it. It's very easy. The arm wrestling table is a limitation. When I think about a place like India, you know, arm wrestling tables can be expensive. Like it's not cheap. Like a good arm wrestling table is a lot of money.
I would disagree.
Oh, really?
I got my arm wrestling table and it is really good. You can basically easily disassemble it and take it in your car, and it costing me 9,000 rupees. So what is that? Let me calculate. Around, I would say, just over $100.
Oh, that's really good.
That is why I was saying you everything in India is cheap. So if you come from that country, that translates to YouTube as well. I tell everyone living in India or any other countries where the currency is low compared to US and Canadian, these dollars, because most of the views on arm wrestling videos are from there. I'm from India, but more than 40%, I think 45% of my views are from Northern America. They pay you more. For them, if you are earning $500 a month, it is nothing for you. But $500 a month here in India you can make a living off that.
Where did you get your arm wrestling table?
I got my arm wrestling table from, what was its name? Bhandari. You know Bhandari?
Why don't you send me his contact after this?
Sure.
Yeah.
Everything, the construction is cheap here. Whatever is made here, and it is the other way around when we import things from other countries. Like average annual salary, monthly salary here in India would be, I guess, around less than $200, maybe $150. And when you are trying to buy a PlayStation, which is being imported from there, we are paying more than what you guys are paying for that, with 10 times as less earnings. So that becomes costly if you are importing things from other countries. But if you are importing money from other countries through YouTube or training, I was in this conversation with Herman Stevens. He said, if you can train someone who is willing to pay $200, that would be amazing for you. Because $200, he said, for me, it doesn't mean much. But if an Indian trains someone who is willing to pay $200 for them, it is just amazing. It could change their lives. If you get like 5-6 people like that, you get to train them and you earn $200 from each one of them, you can easily make a living off that just by training 3-4 people.
Okay.
That is the power of currency that I have noticed here.
Very interesting.
I wanted to ask you one question, Devon. How many messages like DMs do you get in a day, and what part of your time in a day is spent replying to them? Because I believe you reply to almost everyone. You have always replied to all of my messages. I have to assume that you reply to everyone.
No, unfortunately, I can't. unfortunately, I cannot reply to all the messages anymore. I've been involved in arm wrestling for a very long time. And for the first, geez, I don't know, maybe up until about 2008 or 10, I was able to reply to all the messages. I did a fairly good job from 10 to about 2015. And then since 2015, I've completely lost control. I can't, unfortunately. It's just, I would spend my entire day. Yeah, and I can't even see them all. They go into my filtered. There's so many messages that I can't even see. Yeah, so that's why I try and use my YouTube to talk to more people. And you know, yeah, it's difficult. As your reach grows, your ability to talk to everyone on an individual level will become compromised, unfortunately. But yeah, it's part of
plans? What were your plans for YouTube when you started it? Like, what was going through your mind? You started it, what, 10, 12, 13 years ago, maybe?
Yeah. My only plan was to kind of spread the word of arm wrestling a little bit more. And just to have fun and show people how much fun I was having with arm wrestling. There was never an intention of making any kind of money or anything like that. Just did it just because I really love arm wrestling and I like to get the message out. And yeah, what's that? Yeah, and it was fun. We had a lot of fun making funny videos at the beginning. But yeah, by around 2017, the channel just popped, and now it has a life of its own, and it's able to provide me with some freedoms now, which is fantastic. Yeah.
Arm wrestling is doing great on YouTube. I can see that, especially in India, maybe in other countries too, the fitness channels are kind of oversaturated. You can see channels with over 1 million subscribers, and the videos they are uploading are getting 10, 12, 13,000 views only. And arm wrestling channels with 5, 6, 10,000 subscribers are getting more views than that.
Yeah.
And especially the talking part, there is more need, more demand, more market for talking. People want to know your views more than actually watching the arm wrestling matches. Sometimes you'll see the breakdowns, the analysis will get more views than the actual match itself. There's a big opportunity in that field. If you can talk, if you can open your mouth, it is the biggest thing. You can make a career out of that, I believe.
Yeah, I think so too. It's our sports booming, man. It's everything's looking up. But so what does the future hold for you, Pradeep?
Future for me, sometimes I think like I should train. I'm having a YouTube channel about arm wrestling. I should be able to be, at least I should be able to beat someone, like some recognized names, because I am doing arm wrestling basically. So I'm trained, I think about competing, then that thought kind of goes away and I focus more on YouTube. I think like I'll make one, and working on YouTube, making videos never feels like work to me. It is the most amazing thing. It takes me roughly around 4-5 hours to make a video. First, I have to do the complete research. Then I have to write down the points that I want to speak about. Then I record audio. Then I edit out the audio to make it better, cut it out in between the extra parts. Then I add photos and videos over that. I never did the voiceovers. Basically, what a voiceover is, you are having the videos or photos, then you're talking over that. That I believe gives more importance to the video, the photos that you're talking about. I did not want that. I wanted that my whatever I'm saying should be more important on my channel. That is, first I record audio, I decide what I want to speak about the situation, then accordingly I add photos or videos on top of that. So I
That's
believe
great.
I get more like recognition, not recognition, but support, sympathy, or whatever you can say, because of that. Because I want that my word should be valued more than what I'm talking about, than what is that footage showing. That's how I do it. But it never feels like work. So my plan, where I see myself, is on YouTube. Nick's Strength and Power was great, a big motivation for me to start. I thought like I can do that. There is nothing that he's doing if you can ignore the accent part, I was getting a lot of, in the beginning, I was getting a lot of hate comments about the Indian accent. People are saying like, what gas station do you work at? And I've learned one thing through YouTube, and it is very powerful. Whenever someone is trying to make fun of you, you just reply, you just agree with them. You say, thank you, buddy. I wish you had provided me the solution as well. What can I do to improve this thing? And they either delete their comment or edit it out, something like, sorry, I did not mean to say that. It works 100% of the time. Whenever there is a hater, you agree with them, you thank them for whatever they have said, and they immediately try to support you. That's, I believe, I've learned from YouTube. I would have never learned that. I had this habit of getting in arguments before I started on YouTube channel, trying to defend something that I saw. I got in this argument with a lot of people in your 2018 match with Michael Todd.
Oh, yeah.
I've never been against King's move. I remember you said success should be measured by winning or losing, and as soon as you try to put any other criteria than those simple two things, you are being biased. I remember that line very well. I truly believe that you should not complain. If there was a referee and the athlete who lost is not complaining, then who are we to complain about that?
Exactly.
So I used to get in an argument with a lot of people. That is before I started YouTube. Now I just agree. The best thing is to agree with everyone. Talking about King's move, I wanted to ask you one question. In India, if you have watched some tournaments, I watched a lot of matches in India, and basically every third or fourth round, you can see a King's mover. You will see a King's move going on in India, but there's a difference. I have not seen a single defensive King's mover in India. All are either in the center or in the winning position. There is not a single defensive King's mover in India. So my thought, basically, as far as I can think, my imagination goes, to be a defensive King's mover, you need these wonky elbows that doesn't let you straighten your arm. And I think everyone can be an offensive King's mover. But to be defensive, you need to have locked elbows. What do you think about that?
Well, the whole definition of the King's move to me has been kind of changed over the last year or so, because when I used to think about King's moving, it was a complete flow. It was basically all outside top rolls. As soon as you are giving up your internal stabilization and coming out with a hand attack, you're basically, it's a form of top roll. Call it an outside top roll. Call it I don't know. You can get creative, but desperation move. But this is a King's move when you are a non-shoulder committed top roll. And certainly, so my arm, right, that's straight. Most certainly, my arm gets really hard to finish at the end of my outside top roll. There's another layer of complexity that's added to technically defeating it, because my arm won't straighten. My hand can turn over. There's still a lot of ways to defeat it, but it becomes a little bit more complicated when you get someone whose range is shortened, and they do this move. Now, whether that's used in an offensive or defensive setting, it doesn't really matter. As soon as you hit that range, there's going to be an issue. Now, I used to think of this entire thing as King's moving, but after a lot of discussion back and forth with different experts and people, it is now kind of, I think the definition of King's moving is now that the arm is at the end of its range. That is what I think. Yeah, so it's at the end of its range. You're not in a King's move until you're at the end of your range. And certainly a King's move is absolutely best done by someone whose arm doesn't straighten. Absolutely. Like if your arms are still functional and you're completely straight, I'd say you're in a very, very mechanically compromised and dangerous position. Where? But I've seen a lot of people beginners
who get pinned really easily once they are stretched in a king's move, but they pull off the offensive king's move just fine. I've seen people beating opponents that they cannot beat otherwise with an offensive king's move, even the beginners. But I've never seen a beginner do a defensive king's move because their arms straighten up completely.
Now, when you say offensive king's move, you mean that they're moving them on their positive side, on the winning side of the table?
Winning side of the table. And basically they are taking advantage of the rule that allows you to dip your shoulder below the table if you are anywhere from neutral to the offensive side. That is what I mean. There was this one discussion about what is open top roll. And according to me, an open top roll is something when you have to king's move, but you don't like it to call it a king's move. You don't want to be called a king's move, but you have to. Then you start calling it an open top roll.
Sure.
It is basically a king's move.
That's the way I see it too. I mean, I feel like as soon as you do not have your shoulder committed to the top roll, you're open top rolling, but it's a king's move. It's just you're not completely open. So yeah, there's a range there where you are in the process of going towards a king's move. You can call it an open top roll if you like. I personally, I'm a huge fan of the technique. I love king's moving, open top rolling. I think that it's a great technique to use against stronger opponents that you can prolong the match, you can extend the match, you can add a layer of complexity to the match that a stronger individual is going to have to kind of change their course of victory to have to, maybe do something that they didn't necessarily want to do, because it's a very powerful counter. The king's move is very, very good at extending your opponent's arm a little bit and targeting their wrist. It's really, really good at that.
And beating your opponent through technique is really appreciated in every other sport. People love it when the smaller guy beats a stronger guy. You may have seen a lot of MMA fights with those really fat guys and the other one is lean and small compared to him. Yeah. He's running all over the ring just to get an opportunity to sneak in and grab him by his neck or something and beat him up. Everyone enjoys that, but not in arm wrestling.
Well, it depends. I mean, I enjoy it. I'm a fan of it. I think that it's divided. I think that some people get upset by it and they're very vocal about it. The king's move argument has been extremely vocal over the last, I'd say it's been more vocal than ever since Michael Todd's kind of ascension in the sport. Yeah. There's been king's movers for a long time. Crazy George was dominantly king's moving for a decade, at least maybe 2 decades before Michael Todd was really visible. But the super heavyweight class gets so much attention. I think that once Michael started to be really good with the king's move, the discussion kind of really erupted. And I'm a huge fan of it. I love to watch different techniques on the arm wrestling table. And that's the interesting thing, that the arm wrestling community, we are a combat community. So it's a fighting community, but there's a heavy strength community as well. Like there's a lot of strength component where people think that they want to define what it is. And when that definition doesn't hold up and it gets a little bit more into the combative side, people have a big problem. But it's great. It's great discussion. A lot of people have said to me, "Oh, king's move is killing the sport." I could say I would say that's completely false. King's move is growing the sport. King's move is adding controversy. It's adding discussion. And I mean, when you look at the past, 3 or 4 years, when a lot of the super heavyweights, myself included, have been doing the king's move, it's had some of the highest views. It's had some of the furthest reach that the sport has seen. The match with Dave Chafee and I, which was a completely by so many arm wrestling purists standards, was probably the most ugly arm wrestling match that there ever was. I mean, that match got I think it got around 100 million views in like 3 or 4 days. So I think that it's fine. I think it gives people something to look at. It gives people something to talk about, gives people something to try and understand. And that's a good thing.
I'm a big fan of King's move. I'm a fan of anything that allows maybe a slightly weaker opponent to beat a stronger opponent. I'm always a fan. People say it looks ugly. To me, it doesn't. When you have stopped someone an inch from the pad and you bring him back from there, how can it be ugly? It is beautiful according to me.
Right. I feel the same way. I think that the only interesting part of the discussion is the when you start to deal with people like me who have wonky elbows, and people start to say you're using a physical disability to your advantage. And I understand that there's maybe something there worth talking about, but where do you draw the line? Like, where do you draw the line on these things? I mean,
then there will be nothing will be allowed. If we go that path, then nothing will be allowed in arm wrestling. Then you have to ban Oleg Zok.
right. Exactly.
I won't arm wrestle you because you are half a feet taller than me. You have I'm physically disabled, or you have an extra advantage. Nothing will be able to contend it in form of competition then if you start looking at these things.
I agree. So that's why I'm always saying, let people do more. Let people do more.
Even if people don't like it, it is also a good thing. Everyone, like professional arm wrestling, movies, TV serials, everyone try to create a villain because it is good for the audience.
Yeah.
In arm wrestling, if someone is King's moving, you automatically get a villain. It is always good for any sport.
Yeah. I love it.
I wanted to talk with you, Devon, about the Levan versus Chafee match on 5th or 4th of September for you. So first, I wanted to ask another question about stakings and ArmBet. Who can say no to Devon about putting their match on stakings? Is it the arm wrestler? Is it the promoter? The country, the rules? Who can say no to you that I don't want my match to be staked on?
Right. Okay. So the first thing is it's not legal everywhere. Staking is much more legal than betting. Okay. So staking is much more widely accepted. That's one of the reasons why we went with it. So yes, there are geographies where it can be restricted. When it comes to who can say no, if we have consent from either the athletes or the promoter, we are good. Yeah.
Okay.
So at this stage, what I typically do is I contact the athletes directly. At this stage, everything is manual. Eventually, everything will become much more automated. But at this stage, when there's a match that I feel has global recognition, North American recognition, the people have a status that's high enough that we think that people will be interested, then I'll reach out to them directly. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody can say no. Anybody can say no.
So
but
you were
so
saying,
far,
you were talking about the legalities of countries not allowed everywhere. So how do you get to know which country is allowing staking, not betting, which country is allowing it and which isn't? If I'm opening my browser without any VPN, and if the website is opening in my phone, should I believe that it is allowed in my country?
You know what? I leave those questions to my legal team. And if you have that question, I would suggest that you send an email to our support team, and I can provide that link below. But mostly, I believe it's a very, very small percentage of global countries and states that have it restricted. I think the only person so far who has turned down the staking opportunity was Engen. Engen supported it at his event. He said, yeah, the athletes can all get staked, whatever, it's their personal choice. He said, but for me, he said, I don't want to be involved with it. So no problem.
So he was the organizer, the promoter, so he could have said no to his as well as all other matches if he wanted.
Yeah, I think we probably could have gotten into some kind of a power struggle between the athletes and the promoter, but I personally, I would never do that. If a promoter straight up told me no, I would not go after their athletes. I wouldn't do that.
It's all about the relationships.
It's there's no point. To me,
Yeah.
it's about promotion, and it's about helping the athletes and everything that right now, just so people have a greater awareness, all the money that ArmBet is earning from this process, it's all going right back into the app development. It's all going right back into making the app a better tool for the community. So, and it'll be that way for probably quite a long time. So yeah, for me, it's just all about the promotion of the sport and growing the sport and making this thing a tool that benefits the entire community.
And what do you think is going to happen in the Dave Chaffee versus Levon match?
Well, I hope the match happens, because I'm not sure that it's confirmed yet. From my understanding, this match is not confirmed. I think it is going to happen. I do believe it's going to happen, but I also believe that I don't think anybody's got a plane ticket yet. I don't think they do. So if it does happen on the date on September 4th, I believe that Levon has to be the heavy favorite. He has to be. I think Levon has got to be recognized as the world number one. I think that his strength is really on a completely on a very different level than almost all the other arm wrestlers. I think that there's very few people who can challenge him. Dave Chaffee is incredible. Dave's strengths are ones that could potentially give Levon trouble, but in my opinion, Levon has to be the heavy favorite. Has to be.
There is one thought that has been constantly hitting my mind, and I haven't shared it with anyone because I think people would get mad when I say after they hear it. I think Levon is going to King's move Dave. And I get that opinion from the Vitali match. I saw he was willing to give everything up for the hand, for the pronation. He's willing to give everything up just to be in his pronated position. So if Dave Chaffee is strong enough to attack him to the side, and he will give everything up for the pronation, I think he will be in a King's move position for just a little bit of time. And I don't see Dave Chaffee doing anything from there.
Maybe we can get him a King's move t-shirt.
I would say at least 70-80% sure that Levon is going to King's move Dave. I think it is going to happen.
Wouldn't surprise me. It's really against Dave. It's a smart move. Not a lot of I have not seen. I don't know that I've ever seen anyone win the center from Dave Chaffee when they say ready go. It's almost always. I can't remember a match that it's not positive movement towards Dave's. I think maybe Pushkar at A1, did it the other way. Maybe Travis when he was really in good shape was able to do it, but it's very difficult to make Dave Chaffee not go this direction. So yeah, King's move is a great choice, especially for a guy like Levon who likes the top rope.
And I think if it gets anywhere near a hook, I think it is over for Levon. You cannot beat Dave Chaffee unless you are Dennis Siplenkov. Unless you are Dennis, I don't think you can beat Dave Chaffee in a hook. Levon was once on Voice of Arm Wrestling with Engin, Yanis, and Coach Ray. And he was saying, it was basically at least one and a half year ago, I would assume. And he was saying that he would like to go in a hook with Dave every round. And I was like, this is a crazy thing to do, especially when you're trying to maintain a 24-0 and now 30-0 record in professional arm wrestling, not losing a single round. It is not a wise move against Dave Chaffee.
No, I think that, I think the thing is Levon is very strong. He's very, very strong. He may be able to control the center. He might be. Maybe it'll come down to who's the better arm wrestler. Very interesting match. I hope that it gets really finalized very soon, because I'd love to start kind of promoting it and getting all over it. I think hopefully that within the next week we'll know, and then it's we're less than a month away. So big match. And if Dave wins, the entire world ranking kind of just switches.
Changes,
Everything would get turned on its head. Like if Dave's able to go over there and win, then what do you do with the world rankings? It's a complete switch to where we think it is now.
Because if Dave beats Levon and it does not comes down to that King's move thing once again, then you would have to assume that those people who have beaten Dave are at least on level with Levon. But then the King's move conversation would definitely come in. That yeah, but he lost to Devon and Michael with King's move.
Right.
I think it is going to come in when the rankings are about to be changed. I don't know how they are discussed rankings, but these things, the King's move will definitely be considered in that.
Yeah, I agree very much. Yeah, I think you're right there. But I think most likely scenario, Levon continues his unbeaten streak. That's I believe the most likely scenario.
That would be 30-0 for him. He's 24-0.
Yeah.
One of my friends, Devon, he asked me one question, and he's not an arm wrestler. He basically does not know anything about arm wrestling. He said in arm wrestling, the older guys are winning because it is more about technique and less about strength. And there is no way a 50-year-old man can be stronger than a 35-year-old man who's been training for 10-15 years. I did not have any answer to that question. Why is arm wrestling only different than all other strength sports? There is no other strength sport where 50-year-olds or 55-year-olds are stronger than 30-year-olds.
Well, again, so I will say that arm wrestling is a blend between a strength and a combat sport. Okay. So it's not only strength. It is very much a martial art, very much. I think that there's something special about the hand. There's something special about it. There's something special about the forearm. I think when you look at how long it takes to build a hand, how long it takes to build a forearm, I feel like it's just a very slow process. I think that like my hand today is much stronger than it, well, actually, I don't want to say it's much stronger, but I think that you have the opportunity to retain the strength in your hand far longer than you do in some of your more major muscle tissues. But I also believe that just the age in all sports is being pushed further and further and further back. And on top of that as well, I will say that arm wrestling is a very new, even though it's an ancient sport and it's been around forever, I will also say that it's a new sport in terms of how excellent people are at it in this generation. I feel like during this time period, people are investing a lot in the sport and are taking the sport to newer levels. And so in a way, a lot of the older athletes are almost like pioneers. And I won't be surprised that once we are able to push all our knowledge onto, newer generations, once again, I mean, I feel like the most dangerous time for a combative athlete, their first peak is typically between 30 and 35 years old. And I think that there will be older athletes that will be relevant. Guys like John, guys like me, there's a lot of North Americans who are still relevant, guys who have held on to their passion and still have the motivation to do well. But I think that it'll be very difficult to be a world champion, especially for an extended period of time, if you're not kind of between that 30 to 35-year-old window. I think that that's really your sweet spot.
So talking about retiring, when you start the hand discussion, the first thing that came to my mind, the first person was John Brezink. Everyone is talking that the hand goes away in the end. You have your hand strength basically the longest. So what do you think? When should a legend of a sport retire? What would you choose to go to retire when you are still on top, or to battle it out until you start losing and that top spot gets taken away from you? What should be the wise decision? I know it depends on person to person, but what would you do? Would you like to
Uh,
retire while you're still on top? Or
no,
you
well,
want
I
to?
mean, no. I mean, I feel like I was on top from like 2008 till about 2012. And then I had surgeries. I had multiple surgeries, you know, two right. I had one in my left. So I've kind of, you know, I think I was probably pretty good at that period. I came down, and I right now I'm kind of having a second run where I'm really trying to go after that super heavyweight title. But for me, being the best is great. Like, that's a great place to be. It's cool, but it's not what's super important to me. Like, I really just enjoy the sport. I really do. Like, even if I wasn't competitive, I'd still practice because I enjoy practicing. It's a fun way to exercise. If I wasn't winning, I'd still compete. I'd find places to you know, just be part of the sport because I enjoy it. I think that's the main thing. Some people, it depends on their mindset. If you're someone who is trying to be the best at something and that's it, maybe you have to hit your peak and then that's it. Maybe. To me, I don't know. To me, that's not so appealing. To me, I'd rather just enjoy the sport of arm wrestling.
Basically, if your passion is also your profession, you don't retire. You don't think about retiring.
No,
because you're passionate about your profession.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, it might not be logical for me to keep chasing the super heavyweight crown. That is something that I may have.
No, I cannot hear you. You're muted. Now
Can you hear me now? Oh,
yeah.
okay. My phone is strange. Anyways, I kind of lost my train of thought there.
Passion, we were talking about careers and.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah, I might have to stop chasing the super heavyweight crown.
Yeah.
Right. Like, that just might not make sense. It might not.
Is the match with Engin a real thing then?
Oh yeah. Oh my. I will be so happy to pull Engin, but I don't know if it's possible, because see, here's the thing with Engin. I love Engin. I think Engin is fantastic. Every time Engin does anything, I'm watching, I'm trying to learn. I'm a big fan of Engin Terzi. I mean, and I have been for a very long time. It's not something new, and it'll never change. But if I get a chance to compete against Engin, I will go crazy with that guy. And that's why I don't know if it'll happen, because I am positive that I would make him so crazy. I feel like he'd block me, he'd block all of North America. It would be a horrible thing. I don't know if Engin would be able to manage to have a match with me. I don't know if he would. I would love to do it. I would absolutely cut to 100 kilo left hand. I would destroy him. I would crush that guy. But
I don't know if you would be able not to King's move him. You would definitely have that temptation.
Well, I would want to do it just because I know it'd piss him off so much. Like, I would, even if it wasn't the best move, I would try to King's move Engin and maybe even get fouled out of a match just because I know it would make him so upset. So, and I don't know why. Maybe there's something wrong with me that's my motivation. maybe there's something wrong with me, but I would love to do that. It would be do
you remember when this match was first in the talkings a few months ago? I messaged you, I DM'd you, I actually requested you to please Kings move him at least once
Oh,
if you have a match.
yeah. Yeah,
He
yeah.
said definitely.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Definitely. If Engen and I ever have a match, I am hitting that Kings move right out of the gate. And but I know he might kill me. Like he might kill me, or his fans might kill me. But I think it'd probably be worth it. Yeah.
Maybe. Uh, I was once watching this Jeff Frank and Ryan SP podcast, and they were talking about who is a professional arm wrestler. And I'm till date, I'm really confused on that topic. Who do you think is a professional arm wrestler? Their argument was if you are making a living of arm wrestling, then you're a professional arm wrestler. I do not agree with that, because let's say if in a couple of years I'm able to make a living of arm wrestling, but I'm not arm wrestling. I'm just I am making a living through YouTube, through arm wrestling only. I'm not talking about anything else, only arm wrestling. Then would you call me a professional arm wrestler because I'm making a living of it? I don't think so. I would not call myself a professional arm wrestler.
Well, you'd be a professional in the arm wrestling community. I mean, there's professional promoters. Like there's people who make a living off just the promotion of arm wrestling. A professional arm wrestler, I would say that that would fall into two categories. I'd say if you define yourself as a professional arm wrestler, yes, if you are making a living as an arm wrestler, and through whatever means, if you have a channel and you're also an arm wrestler, professional arm wrestler for sure. And then I think there's another level of being a professional arm wrestler where you're just at that level where you're able to enter the pro class and do well, and you can call yourself a professional arm wrestler, and right away people will ask you how much money you make, and then there's that issue. But a lot of times professional is considered a division, so novice, amateur, professional. It's a category. I mean, but money for sure has a lot to do with it, for sure, but skill level does as well. So
but
the lines
if we are going that money making route, then I would consider that somebody who's a professional should be able to make a living of just arm wrestling or brand deals or contracts. He should not have to hustle on Facebook or YouTube for 5, 10, 12 hours a day to make a living. Anybody could do that. You don't even need to arm wrestle to do that.
Well, then that list starts to get very small.
Very small, right?
Yeah. And for sure, that'd probably be the ultimate definition of a professional arm wrestler, just getting by on prize money alone. Yeah.
Like Neeraj Chopra from India, he just, by the way, few hours ago, he won gold medal in Olympics javelin throw. It was India's first medal in athletics, not the first gold, first medal in athletics ever. Just a few hours ago, he won the gold. And as soon as he won it, just a couple of hours ago, the chief minister announced that we will be giving him 6 crore rupees. 6 crore would be basically around $1 million, just a little bit less than that. So million US dollars in US and million US dollars in India are not the same. It is like $7-8 million in USA. That is a professional guy right there. And they're offering him lands for free, A-class government job wherever he wants, basically every luxury, because he's the first guy. And that is from only state government. $1 million are only from state government. Central governments and other agencies will be paying him to brand deals and everything. He will end up at least $3-4 million, I guess.
It's exciting. Good for him. Is he married?
I would assume no, because he's just 23 years old right now. He just set a record in juniors a few years ago. He won the gold in juniors. And now he won the Olympic medal.
India's most eligible bachelor right there.
Right.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of girls in India. The most dominant and competitive sport, cricket is one thing. Cricket will always be the top thing in India. But right now, I would say it is wrestling, freestyle wrestling. In almost every category, from women to men, you can see an Indian in the Olympics who is a medal contender right away, because wrestling is huge. And all of those wrestlers are coming from one small state from India, which is Haryana. It is a small state in India, and the entire wrestling team, the entire Olympic team, 100% is from that state only.
Ariana, where's Ariana?
It is touching Delhi and Uttar Pradesh.
Okay.
Really small state, and the entire Olympic team is from that one state only. In India, it is really divided. Is that the case in Western countries? Like one state is totally dominant in one sport and other state is totally dominant in other sports. It is a big thing here in India.
Yeah.
Almost all the Kabaddi is one more thing. Almost all the Kabaddi players, India has been winning Asian championships, gold in Asian for like forever, since 1992 or even before that. Every gold medal in the Asian championship has come to India, because there are a lot of Kabaddi players from that one state only. Basically, almost the entire team, 60% of the team is from that one state only. And the arm wrestlers, you may have seen arm wrestlers in India, 90% of the strong arm wrestlers, I would say, are from Kerala and Assam.
Yeah, I've heard
These
that.
two
I've
states
heard
are
they're
really
all from
dominant.
Kerala. Yeah.
You arm wrestled Debajit. I think you remember him. He was
Yeah.
from Assam.
Yes.
Those two
Yeah.
states are dominant here in India.
Yeah. Yeah, he was strong.
So Doritos, then pancakes, then maple syrups. What is next? Maybe you should try an Indian dish or something.
Maybe, but I already have something in mind, but it's a
Okay.
secret. Yeah.
Maybe after that.
Yeah, maybe.
You can do some Hindi commercials here in India
Yeah,
about a dish or
chickpeas,
something.
I should get chickpeas going.
It would get really crazy viral here in India.
Pradeep, thank you so much for coming on. It's
Thank you.
been really great chatting with you. I totally love your channel, and I wish you all the success in the world.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
No.